The first question that I get from everybody when I tell them that I got my pilot's license is how much did it cost? Yeah, let's talk about it. Seeing the price up front is a lot. It's a lot of money to spend in 4 months or 2 weeks in an accelerated course. It's a lot of money to shell out, and not a lot of people have that money. But here are a couple different options that you could do that might be able to help you out getting the money for your private pilot's license. So there's a couple different aviation scholarships that you can apply for online. One being on AOPA's website. They have a list of industry and regional scholarships that you can apply for that could pay a couple thousand to half to all of private pilot certification. The Air and Space Forces Association also has plenty of scholarships that can help you pursue aviation, as well as the Captain John J. Sachs Scholarship, which is tailored toward United States Armed Service members, both active duty, guard, reserve, spouses, ROTC. Those are other options that you could do that could help you pay for your private pilot's license. So my timeline for getting my private pilot's license was from November of 2020 to July of 2021. And to break that down, November of 2020 is when I started ground school. So I started ground school originally by going to Sporty's online ground school. You have to take 3 tests at the end of the app to get your endorsement for your private pilot's license. That allows you to take the written test, which I took on Moody Air Force Base, which is free. If there is an education center, you should be able to take all of the FAA written exams completely free. So that is not calculated into the total cost for my PPL. But if you are a civilian, I would budget about $165, $170 for that written test. That started in November and it went until February of 2021. In between the start of my ground studying and then when I went to go take the test, I also got my medical done. I got my class 3 flight physical done here in town from a local AME, which is an aviation medical examiner. Costs $125. All right, so referencing my logbook, I'm going to give you some facts here of how long from the time I started actually flying a 172 to solo to the time I was endorsed ready for my check ride. Started flying the 172 March 6th of 2021. I tried to fly at least twice a week if possible, just so that I was maintaining a level of proficiency so that I didn't have to go back and relearn maneuvers. And when you get into something like this, you need to obsess over it. Also save you a lot of money in the back half, because then you won't have to fly as much to be ready for your check ride. April 16th is when I soloed. So that was approximately 12 hours, about a month, about 5 weeks, 5 weeks in total. I flew pretty much 2 to 3 times a week with my CFI through the rest of April, May, and June, knocking out my night flying, the cross-country hours, my solo flying. July 23rd was check ride day with a DPE out of Eglin Aero Club. I paid him $600 in cash, so you can see how that works. And the check ride, if you don't know, is broken up in 2 sections. You have the oral section of the check ride, questions about regulations, about the aircraft, of the inspections have been complied with, and then you have the other side of the check ride, which is the practical portion of a check ride. My CFI told me time and time again, when you get into the aircraft with the DPE, It's my time to shine, right? To prove to him that I know how to maneuver an aircraft, the different landings and the different takeoffs, and that I am comfortable and proficient in the aircraft. The oral portion of the check ride, at least for this DP, took about 4 hours. And then after that, we broke for lunch, came back, and then I flew. Got back to Valdosta, shut the engine off, and he congratulated me and said that I passed the check ride. So my whole timeline ended up being from November of 2020 to July of 2021. Total flight time was 48 and a half hours. Ended up being $7,403 and some change. My instructor fee the whole time was $40 an hour. When you're initially starting training, you're gonna be flying with the CFI every single time. So it's gonna be $40 an hour every single flight. After you solo and then you're moving on to solo cross countries, then the CFI is not flying with you anymore. The instructor fee then happens here and there, and it's not as often as it was in the first, say, 15 hours. So the instructor fee was $1,630. So with all of that, the grand total ended up being $9,983, which I think is pretty much the average in the country. Really, it all depends on where you're living, what city is around you, what aircraft they have for the flight school. A comparable thing is one of my other pilot friends, Garrett. He got his private pilot's license down in Kissimmee, Florida, and he did an accelerated course. So he went from nothing to check ride in 2 weeks, which I think is insane. But if you don't have a lot of time to do it in between work, and then just knock it out in 2 weeks. But he flew a all steam gauge Cessna 152, and it cost him just shy of $10,000 as well. Before then, there were some prereqs that he had to accomplish, which was a class 3 flight physical, so budget $125, $150 for that, and he had to have the ground test complied with. So it looks like for him in the accelerated course, it was about the same price, maybe just slightly more, and he got it in 2 weeks instead of 4 months. But he also trained in a Cessna 152, which are smaller aircraft and are usually cheaper to operate. So you can tell based off of an accelerated course, they do charge a bit more than they would if you were on your own doing it a couple times a week. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Subscribe, hit that like button, and if you want to see future content, make sure you turn notifications on. See ya!